The Church of God in Christ sent the Plumbers off to Israel with prayer and the laying on of hands at their annual convention in front of thousands at the St. Louis Convention Center in late 2019. Then they set their sights for Israel. CBN News sat down with the Plumbers here.
We came to build a bridge not just for Kojic, but for also Black America. We have found that it's vitally important that African Americans have a relationship with Israel. And so building a bridge is what our primary purpose and call is.
I think that it's important, is vital that they understand Israel, the culture, the country, the people, the land of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Israel. It's important for them to understand that. And I lend my voice to do that, and I'm committed to doing that.
Bishop Plummer once led the National Religious Broadcasters Organization, and the Israel Allies Foundation recently recognized Plummer as one of Israel's top 50 Christian allies. But soon after the Plumbers arrived in Israel, they became the brunt of a number of accusations, misleading headlines, and doctored videos.
And they twisted it to say they're coming here to convert Jews, they're coming here to baptize Jews, they're coming here to proselytize Jews. There's a word that they use called missionize. I hadn't quite heard that word before, but there's been these accusations.
It was hurtful. And as I say to my husband, it's because I know that he has been an advocate, very involved in Jewish-Black relationships, and making sure that cohesiveness is there.
And these are a number of somewhat well-known rabbis in the Orthodox community that are calling for our ouster. They're wanting us to leave the country. They've created videos and they've distributed to the department heads of the ministries in Israel to say that these people mean us terrible. And they say these people, they're talking about the Church of God in Christ. They're talking about, the Plumbers, and they need to be gone.
But it got worse.
And to be clear, we've been threatened with death.
Yes.
So we've received written death threats saying we will kill you.
Yes.
We've received threats saying if we find you and catch you out in public, we'll do this, that, and the other.
Yes.
So this is not just some fantasy that we're on here.
Yet some Israelis reached out to the Plumbers, like Jonathan Feldstein of the Genesis 123 Foundation, who fosters Jewish-Christian relations, and invited Plummer to speak on a Facebook Live.
It was an amazing hour-and-a-half conversation that was wide-ranging, and I really wanted to take it in a direction that we would be redeeming. He's been subject to so much criticism and really hasn't had a great opportunity to present why he's here, the positives of it. And I understand a great deal of the significance of his being here, but I wanted to hear it from him. They've been the subject of a great deal of hostility, some of it with, I believe, misunderstanding, and some of it probably with some ill intention.
Despite the accusations, death threats, and opposition, the Plumbers plan to stay, fulfill their calling, and believe love will prevail.
So we're here. There's nothing anyone can do to stop us from loving Israel and loving the people of Israel. We love this place.
I know that those voices do not speak and resound for all of Israel. I would just have to say I'm responding in love, and I'm praying for those who feel that they need to persecute us.
CBN News contacted the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they sent us this statement. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs condemns any kind of hate speech and death threats. And if these messages were sent to the bishop and his wife, we regret it very much.
Because we're Black Americans and because we represent a very significant organization, I have decided as the Bishop of Israel that I'm going to address it. I'm going to address it at the highest level I can, because Christians need to be free to express themselves without harassment, without bigotry, without prejudice.
And they want the freedom to make their contribution to the state of Israel.
We happen to represent a significant number of people in the United States that we feel are at a place in history that needs to engage Israel on a very high and deep level.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.